Guess what, people? I went live like a whole minute early. Sue me. Um, Hope y'all are doing well out there. Uh, Man, I've had see some people popping in now because I know there's always a delay. But yeah, I'm just going early. Or going live early. Going live early. Yeah, that's it. Um, Figure some people might trickle in. I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? Um, Wanted to just do a live style open chat here. You know, shoot from the hip style, free for all, answer questions, have a discussion, what have you. So, see if anybody hops in here. I'm not expecting much, but we shall see. If no one hops in, I'll probably cut it short here in a couple minutes or so, whatever. I know this is not my usual time. I do apologize. I know last week I had a prior obligation. I was helping out a friend, staying at their place. They were going through some surgery and stuff, so I had to make sure I was available for their like post surgery, whatever you want to call it, healing, I guess. Um, and to make sure I was, they had a ride or something like that. If they needed to go someplace or if something happened, because being on pain meds, they're under anesthesia. They're not supposed to drive for I think it was like 24 hours or something like that. So that's where I was last Tuesday. And then if you saw like Matt's chats and stuff, I was kind of intermittent on the other chats just because I was dealing with other stuff with work and that whole thing still. And then I went back to their place Thursday to watch over them, so it was a cluster. Then this past week, I had all intentions on having a chat on Tuesday, and I literally just lost track of time. The long weekend kind of threw me for a loop, and by the time Tuesday came around, I was so backed up with work and everything. Excuse me, playing catch up that I just couldn't really do it. So figured I'd do a Thursday chat, and I'm sure like Yankee or somebody's live right now, so probably stealing views. Well, not stealing views. I would be technically stealing views from him. He's been doing a live chat since the beginning of time. So, but yeah, here we are. I even checked Discord. Let me fire over to Discord real quick and see if there's anything coming in over there on that end. Let's see. Let's see. I doubt there's really anything coming in over here. Trying to think of like what's new that's been happening the past week that's important or worth talking about. Obviously, we had 4th of July, so I hope everyone had a good, safe 4th. Had fun. I literally didn't do squat. I shouldn't say I didn't do squat, but I appreciate Charger posting that over on the Discord. Yeah, my 4th of July was so I got the dog around here someplace, and so she hates fireworks and thunderstorms and all that stuff, and so I stayed here basically to one part take care of her, two be close enough to my friend in case they needed to go someplace because they're still feeling a little medicated up and everything. Probably could have driven fine, but just to be on the safe side. And then three, it's all my, I shouldn't say all my friends, but a large majority of my friends and stuff, they're up north, so I didn't want to have to shoot up there to the gas prices still being what they're being. Although gas is starting to come down. I don't know about you guys. It's not good still. I'm still paying $5.75 a gallon right now. It's better than $6 though, I guess. But not much, Corey. Just doing firing off a first of hopefully many free for all chats. I know I didn't really pitch this well enough. And usually I do these on Tuesdays, as I was saying earlier, but I with just the long holiday weekend, everything just went up crap. If you want a link or something, let me know. Um, Shoot me a message over on Discord. I'm happy to send you a link or something. But yeah, so that's that. To 419. Yeah, I should say for regular here, we're at because my car takes premium, so I'm at 5.74 a gallon technically. But regular, depending on where you go, I've seen it as low as like I want to say like 460 something, like maybe 469. Um, but most of the places you're looking at around like 480 ish. But I have a feeling it's gonna drop for a little bit and then shoot back up again, then drop, shoot back up. Like I know it didn't drop last weekend just because it was 4th of July weekend. Why would it? Everyone's traveling. Makes sense. So it's part of the reason I didn't factor in driving again. Up to visit friends and stuff. Because every time I've driven lately to go visit them, it's about $50 in gas, and then the toll roads on their own is about another $25. So it's like a $75 trip. And that's if I don't drive around while I'm up there. That's just me shooting up there and coming back because it's like 120 miles each way. So it sucks. But yeah, man, and I got to go up not this weekend, thank God, but the following weekend because my old man's having surgery done, so I'm going up to visit him. See, that's so you mentioned how there's places around you that's dropping at $3.99. My old man called me last week. He's like, "Oh, do you have I forget whatever gas station he said near me?" I'm like, "No, I don't." He's like, "Oh yeah, they have it for $3.89." I'm like, doesn't make any sense because it's like four at the time. It's like $4.89 here. I'm like, there's no way they dropped it $1. It almost made it like when he said that. Part of me was like, if he's right, I might just take the 4-hour round trip to go up north to fill up on gas. Grab some $5 gas or some 5-gallon gas cans or something to fill up. But I think it might have just been like a special or something that they're running for a short time or what have you. So we'll see. It's been driving me to really start looking at potentially getting a bike. It's a horrible time of the year to buy a bike. Just because it's summertime. Like everyone buys a bike during the summer, or they buy it in the spring to ride for the summer, and then fall going into winter is the time to get a bike because you don't want to ride a bike during that time. I sure shit don't want to ride a bike during that time, but we'll see. We'll see what comes of when that time comes. I don't know. I might buy one for next year. I have places here I could store it, so it wouldn't be that bad. I could always store it up at my parents too if I really, really wanted to. Like store it up there, bring my car up, drop my car off, bring the bike down here, ride around all week or something. Like following weekend, shoot up, pick up the car. Just kind of like swap out. Or I probably could park it where I'm at my apartment complex with really no issue. We have those too here. Yeah, the pay cash places. Um, you'll see on the signs it's like, here's your price, and then like right next to it says cash price, and then like underneath the sign it's like, oh, here's the price if you pay credit. Usually, yeah, it's about 10 cents, 15 cents more expensive paying credit. Um, which is something I don't know if that's I don't recall seeing that recently in the past. Like maybe some of your like mom and pop shops, but these are like they seem like pretty well established gas stations or like franchises of gas stations or something. So who the hell knows, man? Um, but yeah, so hoping more people drop in again. No, it's kind of late, last minute. I know Yankee got his stuff going on, and for all I know, Matt's gonna fire up a chat tonight, so we'll see. But um, yeah, any topics that you guys want to talk about? Like I haven't paid attention at all. I don't really think to the news in the past week. I've just been literally. I got back from I shouldn't even say back. I came off the long weekend and it's just been like work 24/7. I'm exhausted beyond measure. I'm working every night till like 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. Then unwinding for bed. Then wake up at 3 a.m. to start my day all over again. So it's it's definitely taxing. I'm looking forward to the weekend here. So of course I'm still getting work emails and shit coming in. But let me see. Let's see what's on the over on Discord. See if anything's going on. Obviously, I know we had the whole event with the the weird Wish.com jolly or whatever Matt was calling last night, from that whole incident up in Illinois. But I haven't looked into enough to really do any work outside of obviously the person's a piece of crap, so whatever. But let's see. Yeah, nothing's. Let me see what Yahoo News has. Yahoo News. I don't know why I'm going to Yahoo News, but fuck that. States like okay. Abortion, I guess that's still a thing that people are talking about. I figure that'll probably run its course for at least a couple weeks until we get some other, big media event coming in. I am really excited about, was it last week with the Supreme Court hearings with all the 2A stuff? And so obviously, anyone that's new to the channel here watching this later, obviously, play around those libertarian pro 2A circles and stuff. So just seeing those alone were a nice little win, seeing them kick down to the lower courts, telling the lower courts to basically get their stuff in gear. But also was really happy. I had heard that there's something in those rulings about, I guess they went after the EPA, which I'm super stoked about, because on the flip side of me also being a car guy, obviously, again, most of the people that are probably watching this chat play around in the firearms community and may not be understanding of what the EPA has been doing for the last year and a half, 2 years. Obviously, the EPA has been infringing on people for a while, but in the past year and a half, 2 years or so, they've really come down big on stuff, and they had some laws they were fucking words. It's because I'm exhausted. Some laws they were pushing to pass on emission stuff. Obviously, a lot of it's coming out of California, but they was looking to make it national. And there's some good big companies that got shut down because of it. I shouldn't say necessarily shut down. Let's just put it this way. They got restricted to the point where it's very hard for them to do business, and the business might go out if things are to stay that way. Like I look at like Cobb, who, if you're in the automotive industry, you understand like Cobb Tuning is massive organization. Basically everyone with like a Subaru or a lot of BMWs and stuff like that, they all use Cobb tuners, and Cobb got hit pretty hard this past year. I don't remember if it was early this year or late last year. My timelines kind of run together, but essentially they got oh, you did? Okay, right on, man. I will go check it out. Let me get you a link. But yeah, Cobb got hit hardcore with some restrictions, and essentially like they got told you don't get to sell tuning equipment. Like you can't sell tuners for cars anymore because people could use those tuners to violate emissions. So it sucks for them. Like they lost a lot of business, a lot of their clients. They're one of the biggest, if not the biggest name on the market. So hopefully with the CPA ruling, they're still technically in business. Hopefully they can, wind some stuff back, but we'll see. But yeah, EPA was looking to, and Corey, I just sent you a link. So, but yeah, EPA was looking to crack down on a lot of people, a lot of stuff of like there would be no modifications at all you could do to a vehicle. You had to leave your vehicle completely stock, like a bunch of BS stuff. So that's good stuff to see. Trying to think what else. What else is going on? Let me see. I probably have to add you, don't I? I don't see you back here. So I'm going to play around with these screen layouts and see what, oh, that's screen share. I don't want to do that. Ah, there he is.
What's going on, man?
Not much. What's good?
It's finally got a new AC system installed. Our fucking AC compressor and everything decided to take a shit yesterday.
Fuck. Not the week for that to happen.
Right. And right before that, we actually paid, it was like $300 or something to have it charged.
Oh, Jesus.
And then the next day it fucking went out. Fucking cold. But yeah, they just
Usually how it
finished that
goes.
probably 20 minutes ago.
Man. I don't know, like, I can't imagine this time of year what it would be like without AC for a day. Because I remember I came home from, I think I was coming home from the beach. Yeah, the day I came home from the beach, this was back in May, like end of May. And when we went down, like it was warm out, right? But it was warm enough so I could have the windows open with the screens. I would just have the fan running, and like the apartment was completely comfortable. Actually, it would be like chilly at night. Went down to the beach. It was actually so cold at the beach that I had to buy a hoodie while I was down there. I forgot to bring one. So like I'm coming back, and the day we were coming back, I just had basically like what I have on now. It's like, oh yeah, it's nice and warm, but like not a big deal. Like my windows are open, everything will be fine. Came home, picked up the dog, got into my apartment. It was just like, oh, like I was just suffering. And then all I had was the fan at the time, so immediately I ordered a wall unit because that's all I have in my apartment. It's like the little slits in the walls for wall units. So I ordered a wall unit off Amazon. I'm like, I need this like yesterday.
Definitely, yeah. The only thing that saved us from being totally miserable, granted, it was still 80 something degrees in the house because, you know, here in Texas, it's fucking triple digits. So we have one of those portable AC units that you just stick like in the corner and run the hose to the window.
Yep.
So
Yep.
that's been a saving grace. And as soon as they turned on the fucking new unit, within 5 minutes, it already dropped 10 degrees in the room.
Jeez.
So, because I still had that portable AC going, so that helped it drop it quicker.
Yeah. Yeah, I have like my unit. I have two spots. I have a spot right here above my desk that I can put a walling in, and then I have a spot in my bedroom. And I only bought the one unit because I'm like if I need a second one, I'll get one. And there's been days where it's been like this past weekend, we had a couple days that we were up in the mid to high 90s, and it was stuffy like in here because the one I have in there, it's a smaller unit, but I was just like I'd be out here watching TV. I'm like, fuck this. I'm going into the bedroom. I'm like going in the bedroom. Bedroom's completely cool, completely fine. I'm good in there. But yeah, those portable units are handy. My ex and I, when we had a house back in 2017, 2016 going into 17, we had a portable unit in our bedroom because the way the house was built, it had like those small. They weren't the normal slider windows. They were like the side sliding windows, but they're tiny.
Oh, yeah.
Like that's all you could have in there. And so we were like, oh, we had a good sized window unit in the living room, but the living room was like all the way on the other side of the house. So during the summertime, especially with two dogs at the time who were big dogs who just radiate heat like nobody's business. So that little portable unit, like it was struggling. I mean, but it made it bearable for sure.
But I tell you, this portable unit, I've had it probably 10, 12 years now, and it's still going strong. So it's been a good unit.
Yeah, the one we had, my ex had it for a couple years. I don't know if it was like a condenser or something was going, but like you'd have to drain it every morning. Like every morning we'd have to sit there and drain it because it would just fill up with just from all the sweat and stuff like that, just fill up with water. So every morning we're sitting there draining it, like dumping in the bathtub. But it got us through that summer, and that's all I could have asked for, honestly, with how, because it had been a really hot, like 2016 was a really rough summer out there. So I can't knock it too bad, but what else is new?
I heard you talking about the EPA a while ago. Yeah, that was fucking awesome when we got that rolling. That was another victory. And
Yeah.
I was reading in Matt's Discord. I don't know if it's just like the barely early stages of it, but I saw something about a judge is bringing the NFA, trying to get it going up to the Supreme Court to have it deemed unconstitutional.
I've heard that. I'm like, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'd love to see it and kind of like ride the wave that we've had, but at the same time, like, that's a big one. I'm like, yeah, we'll see what happens. I mean, there's a shout with some of the stuff they're ruling on now because I think I'd seen something that they just, or maybe they haven't heard on it yet, or maybe they're getting ready to hear on it. But like California's magazine capacity and assault weapons ban, I've heard that might be going in front of them here pretty soon, or is going in front of them or something. So I figure if they've shot the other stuff down, like that one might get shot down. So I mean, if we could shoot down the NFA as well, no pun intended, but
Right.
that'd be amazing. The only reason I don't know if they'll do it is because, like, unlike these other ones, that one is strictly like that would impact. I can't imagine it's that much, but it does impact dollars to them, right?
Mhm.
Again, I mean, granted, I know there's people, tons of
But
NFA
it's all
tax stamps.
implemented under false pretenses to begin with. So
That's true. That's true. And just like, and with how they've had stuff worded and all like I don't want to call them loopholes, but for lack of a better term, like when you can look at it and just realize how BS it is, it's like, this is beyond stupid,
Mhm.
like might as well just get rid of it because it's not doing anything. And I mean, if they got rid of that, that would, you think by getting rid of that, that would then obviously then impact the 86 bill or whatever it is, like all the other stuff. So that would just open the door to everything, which would be absolutely fantastic. It pissed off a lot of collectors though, because all the collectors that are holding on to their, $20,000 or $50,000, full auto sub gun is now going to be like, if that goes away, like that's not going to be worth nearly that much.
Oh hell no! I mean, they might still be worth probably around 5-10 grand just because of what they are and their collector pieces.
Yeah.
But like the full auto Tommy guns that are like what 50 grand right now.
Yeah.
If the NFA went away, that would they would take a big hit on it.
Yeah. No, your guys are like, oh, this is a full auto M16. It's like, yeah, that's not going to be a $40,000 gun anymore. Sorry.
Nope.
Like, might be a $6,000 gun, maybe even a $10,000 gun because of its age and everything like that. But
yeah, if that went away, or was it the 86 bill that to where we can't manufacture new machine guns in America?
Which you would think that would go away as well, because if they're going to get rid of the NFA, like that just kind of goes hand in hand.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see, though. We'll see. That'll be an interesting one to watch for sure, especially because they've already kind of set the precedent of, the average human, the average citizen is the militia, and the militia can have whatever, the military has. So we'll see.
And with that latest ruling we had, to where it actually states that we have the right to carry a firearm for protection even outside of the home. So
yeah,
it's just it's awesome to see all the wins coming down the pike, but we just need some bigger ones, and it would just
exactly, like with that ruling, I would love to see constitutional carry just across the board.
Oh yeah, just on a national level, that would be fucking awesome. That would really piss off, California and Chicago and New York, all the liberal shitholes.
Yep, Jersey and all those places. But we'll see. I mean, granted, I know, what are we up to now? 26 states. I keep wanting Pennsylvania. I'm like, dude, half the states around you are gone this way. Like, just do it. Mainly because I'm still having a pain in the ass time trying to just get my normal driver's license. So.
Right. But, yeah, man. I never thought it would be half of the states already, and here we are. And
And
it's
I
like I
feel
was
like,
saying the other day, Texas, we should have been, if not number one, at least in the top 5, not,
yeah,
what was it, 21 or 22.
yeah, yeah. I feel though like it happened really quick because I mean, granted, I know Vermont's been, or not Vermont, Arizona has been constitutional carry for a while, and for like a while there was like Arizona and like 2 other states, and then I feel like within the last, I don't know, 3 years or so, it was just like one after another, just ding,
Yeah,
ding, 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 ding. Like,
bam, bam, bam. Well, Ohio just got constitutional carry the other day, didn't they?
yeah, yeah. Ohio just got theirs. I think West Virginia has it as well. Like the only states I'm bordered to that don't are obviously, New York, New Jersey, and Delaware. I guess technically Maryland also borders us, so Maryland doesn't.
So
But
I know you were talking a while ago that someone's bringing up the whole, mag capacity ban in California, trying to get it up to the Supreme Court. That would be another thing because that would knock the dick in the dirt of, like New Jersey and New York,
yep,
and how many other
Connecticut,
states
Rhode
have the
Island,
10-round mag bans? Washington just had theirs go into effect.
Washington, Colorado, Rhode Island just had theirs go into effect. Connecticut's had theirs for a little bit now. Yeah, obviously New York, New Jersey. I want to say Delaware might have one. I think they do.
Don't usually hear a lot about Delaware, so you kind of forget that it's there.
Yeah, you forget it's a state. It's like a state you have to drive through to get to other places.
Right.
Like the only place I know in Delaware is Wilmington, and the only reason I know that is because it's literally right across the border from Philadelphia. And so a bunch of people I know that live here work there because it's a big like financial hub. And you can get alcohol, like alcohol there is cheaper. They don't have the stupid state store stuff that Pennsylvania has. So, I know a couple people that if they're having like a big party or something, they will drive down to Delaware, pick up booze, and come back up here. Although with the gas prices now, it's like, is it worth it? Probably not. But if they're going to the beach or something, they'll hit Delaware on the way through. But yeah, I'm trying to think what else. I feel like there's another Washington, California, obviously. I feel like there's like some place in the Illinois, I'm sure does. Maybe that's it. That might be it. But still, I mean, that's
too many. One
far
too many.
Yeah, exactly. Especially too, because like some of those are so stupid, like they're grandfathered in and stuff. It's like, okay, like unless the Czech magazines aren't dated, like.
Yeah, and then it's like, what was it, a year or two ago, when California had that stay on the mag ban, and then they had a mass influx of people buying,
Yeah.
what they would consider extended round mags, whether it be 17, 15, 33, whatever. And then
like
it was like a week-long process, and then they shut it off.
Yeah, it was like for 2 weeks, everyone just went crazy and like maxed out their credit cards. And they're like, oh no, we gotta shut this down. It's like, okay, well.
Since that happened, has there been like, a skyrocket in fucking crimes because people got your quote unquote high cap mags? No.
Nope.
So
I know.
what the?
Yeah, I know plenty of people from when I lived in Arizona. I'm not gonna obviously know names out there, but people that reside in California that would come and visit in Arizona, and go to a gun shop or something, pick up stuff, and then drive back to California. Like, not hard.
Yeah. Oops, I got this during the stay, so I'm good.
Yeah. Yeah. Or people that are like, oh, I have this stupid AR with a bullet button, but I have this other upper that I got someplace else that I just keep stashed in like in a spot in the closet that I can just, like stupid shit like that. It's just
that. And I know you said you've been out of the loop for a little bit because of work and everything. Have you heard that UPS and I believe another mail carrier is now whining, saying they don't want to, quote unquote, deliver or transport any kind of firearms or ammunition?
I've heard, yeah, I heard on UPS, and like what I had heard was it was a mix that they were specifically targeting. I want to say it was like Brownells and maybe Polymer 80.
Hmm.
Um, which like if they're targeting individual organizations or something like that, I can understand how they would actually be able to control that.
Yeah.
It just
Wouldn't
means they're
that
gonna lose
also
because
be considered discrimination in a manner of speaking? Because they're saying,
yeah,
"Oh no, we refuse to do business with you, but we'll do business with your competitors."
I maybe I see like when it comes to that stuff, I would have to imagine that there's some sort of a contract that's signed that they might just be able to breach a contract or like null and void a contract due to some sort of nomenclature because I don't know what's in those
Hmm.
contracts, right? Where they can just be like, hey, at any point we can choose not to do dealings with you if we want or something. Which I mean, in their book, it's like I agree with it from the standpoint of you can do business with whatever other business you
Right.
want to, but at the same time, that's just opening the door for FedEx or whatever the other
USPS or
USPS or
DHL.
whoever, to just do business with them, and now you're losing out. Now, I have heard other people saying that like UPS has come out and said straight up like, nope, if we get a firearm, we're not gonna deliver it or blah blah blah. I don't know how they're gonna track that stuff because unless someone goes to UPS, hands them the box, is like, yep, this is a firearm, like which granted
Yeah.
if you are shipping a firearm like that is something, but like if you're just shipping like a gun part or something, like you don't gotta tell them like, oh, this is an upper or like, oh, this is a barrel. Now if you're like ammunition or something, that's different, obviously. Um, but like, how are they gonna know otherwise? That's a gun part.
Yeah, I was sweating bullets intended because what was it, 3, 4 days ago? I ordered 1,000 rounds of Fiocchi 9mm ammunition off. I went through AMOSeek and it took me to Shaw Armament Systems, and I actually got a pretty damn good deal because I got 1,000 rounds of 124 grain after tax and everything, serial number 300.
That ain't bad at all, especially with these. I have not bought ammo since. I'm trying to think. I think the last time I bought ammo
I got it in
might have been.
today, so I was worried that UPS would be like, "No, we decided not to bring you your order."
Huh. Yeah, I think the last time I bought ammo was I want to say maybe early April. Um, yeah, it was early April. And I made the mistake. I went to like because it was a Sunday, so most gun shops obviously are closed on Sunday. And there's one
Yeah.
place up by where my friend lives, like 30 minutes up the road, but it was like a shooting range slash gun shop. And I should have known when I walked in there when I saw like a Mosin on the rack for, and not like a finished Mosin, not like an all numbers matching hex receiver or drug, like just your basic bitch Mosin on the rack. I think they had it for like $600. I should have known at that point, like, this place is obviously overcharging because they're expecting people to come in that have no idea what they're looking for and just they're gonna pay it. But I had
Jeez, that's
already driven up
ridiculous.
there. Yeah, and I had already driven up there, so I was like, fuck. I was like, oh, I might as well buy something. So I was like, oh, I need some 223. So I ended up buying like it was 100 rounds of 223, and it cost. Or no, I'm sorry, it was 80 rounds of 223 I bought because I bought 80 rounds of 223 and it was like almost $80. I almost paid $1 a round for it. I was like, this is
Jesus.
dumb. But that's probably the last time I bought ammo since, man, probably early 2020. Nah, I might have bought some ammo in 2021. But yeah, so you know, item number 300 for 1,000 rounds is damn good. So
Oh yeah, considering if I would have been, because it came from Georgia, and being in Texas, anything that comes from that direction, uh, always gets to me pretty quickly. So if I would have been closer and could have gone and picked it up in person, it would have only cost, what was it? I want to say 279,
oh wow,
just
yeah.
about there. So I paid the rest of it, taxes and shipping fees. So that was a really good deal, and I wish I had more money because I would have gotten more. But
Yeah.
yeah, so
Yep.
yeah,
Awesome.
because I just we moved into our new house a couple weeks ago. We just traded in our vehicle and got a newer vehicle. Uh, got a Dodge Charger, OD green. I don't know if you saw pictures I posted on
Yeah, I
that
did.
Discord.
I did. Yeah, that's a nice car.
Yeah, and then we just got new furniture for the new place. So yeah, money's a little tight. Otherwise, I would have gotten more ammo. So that was just a hell of a deal.
Yeah, it's one of those moments where you're like, I'll dig deep a little bit and just get a little, like, take advantage of it a little bit. Like, I don't got to go
Mm-hmm.
crazy, but sorry. My boss is sending me messages here at like whatever it is, 7 o'clock my time, but it's only 4:30 his time. So, not that I can knock him. I mean, we're technically on call like 24/7, but
Yeah, that's with my wife. Her job, she's on call 24/7, 365 all the time. Just
I mean, we are and we aren't. Like, it's one of those things, like, I could easily ignore it, but it's one of those, like, time-sensitive things where I'm trying to schedule somebody for, of course, I have a client right now that I've been sending them profiles all week. They haven't said anything back, and then they finally responded to us, like, in the 11th hour. Now, granted, they're in California, so they're 3 hours behind me, right? But they respond to us at, like, 2:30, 3 o'clock my time, like, hey, yeah, we'd love to meet these people. They have to do this first, and I can either meet with them on Tuesday at this time or Wednesday at this time. I'm like, you're not leaving me a huge window here because I try not to do work on the weekends. Not that I'm
mm-hmm.
against doing work, but just people tend not to respond as much on the weekends because it's the holiday or the weekend. And then I'm like, I would rather get it done now just to get everything in place because then I can send out all the information tomorrow, get it all in stone. I don't have to worry about last minute crap on Monday. I can just get it done. So, I meant to ask your Charger. Is that the 3.7 in those?
Yes.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
I mean, it's not like the Scat Pack or anything like that, but it rides so fucking smooth. It has some pretty good get up and go.
Oh yeah.
If I had any more than that, I'd probably end up killing myself.
Yeah, because those
So,
is that the rear wheel drive or is it one of the all wheel drive ones?
honestly, I don't remember.
Cause I think they do the all wheel drive also in the 3.7, but even the 3.7s, I mean, they got power as well. And you're not paying especially with gas prices right now being what they are. You're saving yourself at least a little bit. I am impressed with Dodge. They have, what's up, Irish?
Oh yeah, I had a Ford Edge is what we traded in, and that fucker was hard on gas.
Oh yeah. My I have been impressed with actually the build quality of Dodge since like the early 2010s. They seem to have come into that because my first Dodge I ever had was a 91 or 92 Dakota pickup. And I love that truck. Like that truck was awesome. I had a blast with it. It had a small lift on it. It was a V8 Magnum. I mean, still had like no power because it was an early '90s truck. But for a kid in high school, like it was a blast. I love that truck.
Was it the regular Dakotas or was it like the Splash that was green that had the?
No, it was regular. So it was black, but it did have like a night, and it could have been aftermarket. I don't think it was stock, but it had like a almost like, you remember like the cups that were everywhere in the 90s at like every movie theater with the weird ass logo on the side that was like green and blue and all that stuff, and like then there were shirts. It was like that, but it was white on black. And then it had a small lift on it, had a light rack or a light bar on top. It was an automatic, but it was a V8 Magnum truck. It was just a blast. Like again, not a ton of power, but it was good for what it was. Got me around through the winter time. I enjoyed the hell out of it. It was
Oh yeah.
bulletproof. And then when we moved to Pennsylvania, I had to get rid of it, so I didn't have that for a while. And then I went through a couple other vehicles. I finally got another Dodge after my Subaru blew up, and that was a 2000 Chrysler Cirrus, which was just like this little economy shit car. And I mean, I bought the thing for
Yeah.
nothing. I think I paid $750 for it. And I drove that thing. Now that thing, it was a tank from the standpoint. It had lots of issues, like electrical issues and stuff. But that thing was a tank. I had snow tires on it, and it got me through blizzards and snowstorms like nobody's business. Like other things, like 4-wheel drive vehicles were stuck on the side of the road. I'm just sitting there, and like I'm spinning and stuff like that. I'm barely moving, but I was moving. But then like it had electrical issues where it would drain the battery. So for like a week straight, I kept coming out from work and like my battery'd be dead, like stone dead. I'm like, what the fuck's going on? I'm like, I know we didn't leave the lights on or anything. Like I know this. Well, come to find out, I guess one of the issues they had was their clusters where they had like all their turn signal switches and windshield switch that would short out with the lights, and so you could shut the car off even if you never turn the lights on. It would just short out randomly and turn the headlights on, and
Nice.
so yeah, so I'd have to get out of the car, have the hood popped, pull the fuse, leave the fuse down, shut the hood or whatever like that, go in, lock it up, do whatever. And then if I came out at night and decided I wanted to go someplace that was nighttime, I had to pop the fuse back in, shut the hood, use the light. And so like it was a headache, but I beat the snot out of that car. And then I ended up trading it to a buddy of mine who he just let it blow up, but he traded me his car, which was a 2005 Dodge Stratus RT. And that was a fun little car. Like it wasn't, I think that was a 2.7. It wasn't a huge amount of power, but it was fun. But then the transmission, like it had the stupid auto stick in it, which still not the same as a real stick, but it was like, oh, okay, whatever. I'll mess around with this. And I was just cruising to work one day, went to go past somebody, and the transmission just like, nope, I'm done. I'm done playing this game anymore.
I had that happen in a Dodge, just a regular small Dodge Ram on the way to a job interview, and the training just said, no, I'm done.
Yep. Yeah, I instantly and the worst part is I still drove that car for about another month because I didn't have another vehicle. And I still had to go back and forth to work. So it was in limp mode. So you could only go like 35, 40 if you were lucky. And so I had to take the back roads into work, which wasn't that much longer, but it was just, thank God the speed limit on those roads was 35. So I just like redlined it up to 35, and just kind of maxed it out on the way to and from home. And then I ended up putting a new computer in it, which a new trans computer in it, which got it a little bit better. Like it gained maybe another 5 miles an hour that it would top out at. And I ended up selling to like a pizza delivery place that was just using it for local deliveries, and I made money. I was like, well, I got the car for free essentially. So I was like, yeah,
Hey,
$1,000.
that's a heck of a deal.
Yeah, they're like, okay, yeah, $1,000. Here you go. I'm like, cool. And then like instantly lost their number, which it's gonna be move on my end. But I told them that I was like, sometimes it kind of like stalls out and doesn't really want to move, but it seems to be pretty good. And they took it for a spin around the block. They're like, yeah, this is perfect for a delivery vehicle. I'm like, sure is. Like, just stay local. Don't take on the highway. You'll be great.
Do you remember those old Dodge Dakota? I think they were called Splash because I think they're Sport and Splash. They were green and had like the pinstripes down the back.
Yep.
That's why I asked if it was regular Dakota or if it was like that, because when I was 13, me and a buddy were heading home and he was driving one of those. It was standard. And there was this fucking asshole. He decided he pulled off on the side of the road like he was going to go to mailboxes because there was a group of them right there. And he acted like he was hauling a trailer. When you're in a trailer bumper pull, you tend to go a little wide.
Yep.
Well, this motherfucker decides he's going to turn into a driveway across the road right in front of us. And my buddy had dropped it down a gear and hauled ass around him. And we just slammed in the back of his fucking truck. And it crushed that front end all the way up to the dash. And the engine had broke into the fucking compartment in the cab.
Jesus,
It just acted like a fucking sardine can, just crunched it.
man.
And I couldn't get my seatbelt off, and that fucking cab just started filling up with smoke. And by the time I
But
got out of that thing, I just felt like a limp noodle.
yeah, I've been in two bad accidents in my life. I've been in a couple like small little fender benders where like nothing really happened, no one was hurt, like there's really no damage at all to the vehicles, or very minimal if that. But I've been in two bad accidents. One was when I was like a toddler. I barely remember it. It was my grandmother. She had this. I don't remember if it was a Civic or an Accord or what it was. Might have even been like a Prelude or something. But she essentially like is early 90s. So I was in the baby seat or whatever like that. So I'm facing backwards because she has me in the front seat. I remember the back seat was so tiny, like she didn't even have room to put the car seat back there.
Mm-hmm.
So I was in the front seat, and she was behind a garbage truck, and the garbage truck started backing up. And even though like I remember her honking and screaming, and I just remember the, and then like I remember her getting out, and like me still sitting there like in the tub, like, and it's flashback type stuff, but essentially like the garbage truck almost drove up over her car with me
Damn.
inside, and then like stopped. At that point, she was able, like, the door's still open enough, she was able to get me out or whatever. And so I remember that. And then when I was a teenager, like 11, 12, something like that, my dad used to have one of the old like 90s. I think they're just called like the Toyota pickup, or maybe it was like the T100 or whatever. But he had this like old Toyota pickup, and we all would sit in the front seat, and he would pick up my sister because I was in middle school at the time. So I got home like an hour before. So I would get home, and my sister's elementary school was 2 blocks down from our house. So he would pick her up from school every day. And so I a lot of times went with them, not always, but a lot of the times I did. And they had it wasn't really a gate into like the parking lot. It was more just, those posts, and then like at the top of the post it's just 2 bars, and usually there's like a lock or a chain that goes between them.
Mm-hmm.
And so they swing out like this or whatever. And here, this is a better, yay, art. So they swing out like this, and so they can swing either direction, but they would always
Right,
lock
yeah.
them out this way. And so you would drive out like this, and usually they would just swing them open, and that was it. Well, this one day we go pick up my sister, and it was high winds, and we're driving. Like my dad wasn't even going that fast, but he was moving like normal. And this big gust of wind came and hit the one post, and it swung over, and it was just at like windshield level. And I remember him slamming on the brakes. He hit this post, and like I instantly like just closed my eyes, like I'm dead. And I woke up, and nowhere to lie, like the post was here, like to my
Holy
face.
shit.
Yeah, like almost embedded into my face. My sister's screaming and crying. My dad's asking me if I'm okay. Like I was just in shock. I was just like, I think so. Like I was just kind of like I had a couple like little nicks from like glass or whatever, like nothing big, but I was just in pure shock mode. And so then he backs out, and I just see this post like that's literally like this big around, just coming out from my face. I'm like, that was a Final Destination moment almost.
Oh shit, man, that was too close for comfort.
Yeah. I was like, that's calling in all my lives right there. And so like from that point on, they're like, oh, we should probably chain these down when we open. It's like, yeah, no shit.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea. I remember I was probably 5 or 6 or so, and my mom, we had, I think it was an '88 Oldsmobile, and we were at a stop sign, and in the right lane, which we were, was a turn right only. The left lane was straight or turn left. Well, the school bus pulled up to the left of us and decided it was going to make a right-hand turn, and literally ran over the fucking front end of the car, over the hood, everything.
Jeez.
And luckily no one was hurt. It scared the shit out of all of us. But the fucked up thing is, the state trooper that responded to the accident gave my mom a ticket for failure to yield to a school bus. And we're like, how the fuck did we fail to yield? We're at a stop sign, and they ran over the front end.
Yeah.
They made an illegal right turn, but we're at fault. But yeah, it fucked that car up.
That's insane. That's insane. Yeah, it's. There's one other accident I was in now that I think about it, but it wasn't like it should have been a serious accident, but no one was hurt. My buddy, when he first got his license, or whatever, or I think it was his permit, maybe even still, because he might not have even technically been 16 yet. But he got from like his grandmother like an old like either old 80s or maybe early 90s like the Dodge Caravans or whatever.
Mm.
And so he got that. He had that for a little bit, and then shortly thereafter, he had been saving up money for a nicer. Like he wanted another vehicle. He's like, I don't want to drive a minivan because soccer mom and stuff. This was the early 2000s, so like, oh, I get that. And so he had saved up for another. I forget what he even bought. I don't want to say like he bought like a Buick or something like that. But he had this minivan. He's like, I don't want it. Like my grandmother can't drive it. That's why I got it. He's like, I don't want it. I want this car because I want like. He was thinking he was gonna Fast and Furious or something. I have no idea. So I'm like, well, there's the dirt bike trails like down behind our houses. He's like, oh yeah, let's just take it off road. And like in our mind, we're early 2000s. I'm 14, 15. He's 15, 16, whatever it is. And so we take this thing off road and like worst ride you've ever had because they're not meant for that. But we're having a good old time bouncing around. And he goes to like rally cart around this corner, like not realizing like front wheel drive minivan, like turning radius on dirt roads is not what it's supposed to be. And we just keep going. And there's a hill. And we go over the hill and the minivan just starts rolling. And we're getting tossed around, everything like that. I don't even think it had an airbag in it. If it did, it didn't go off, which is a great sign. But we roll this thing and we get to the bottom of the hill and both of us are looking at each other like windshield's gone, like side windows are blown out. We're just looking at each other like, holy shit, we're alive. He's like, yeah, we're alive. And I'm like, I'm completely fine. He's like, I'm completely fine. We're like, what do we do? He's like, well, we can't get back up that hill. I was like, you just want to leave it? He's like, yeah, sure, whatever. So like we just left it in the woods. We just rolled this thing. So I don't know whatever happened to it because I stopped hanging out with him about, I don't know, probably like a year and a half later or so. But yeah, it was an experience to say the least.
No shit, man.
But
I've been in several bad wrecks in my life. The worst one I've been in individually, by myself, was I was working in the oil field, and I've just picked up a brand new Ford F-250, and I was heading to Houma, Louisiana, to get a brand new. We called it a monorail, but it was a gooseneck trailer outfitted specifically for oil field equipment. So it was a brand new trailer, brand new truck, loaded down with brand new oil field equipment. I mean, I was maxed out on weight. And I'm coming back through Louisiana, and I'm supposed to go up to McAlester, Oklahoma to drop everything off. And I didn't even make it out of Louisiana. I was on I-90 coming into Lafayette, like on the outskirts of it. And I'm weighted down, and I'm probably maybe 30 yards from the red light, and it turned yellow. There's no way I can even slow down to stop. So
yeah.
I coast through it, and as last I see it, it was yellow. So it must have turned red while I was underneath it. Well, this car just came out of nowhere from my right side. And later on, I found out that he was actually drag racing and blew through his red light. But he hit me right at the ass end of the truck where the truck stops and the gooseneck starts. So he hit perfectly on both. And man, I ran over his front end and I ripped the fucking front end off of his car. It was just gone. It was in pieces all over the fucking road. And which I hit him, and it caused me to jackknife. And I started, swerving, and I just lost it and jackknifed. And that fucking trailer came and slammed into the passenger side truck so hard that part of the trailer and pipes ended up puncturing through the back passenger door, the big fucking hole. and I skidded to a stop, and the driver's side of the vehicle was off the ground, probably a good 2 or 3 feet. So had I not been in, had that trailer on, I would have rolled. So, and I had to stay on a backboard and gurney and a neck brace for 8 fucking hours because they thought I broke my neck because my head had slammed up against the driver window, and yeah, it was fucking gnarly.
Jesus.
And then with the company, their policy was you had to take a drug test and a piss test to make sure you're clean. Well, they didn't have me do the drug or the alcohol test, like to blow or anything, until the next fucking day, like almost a full day later. So I wasn't drinking or anything like that. And of course, I wasn't doing drugs. Wasn't like that back then. But I just thought it was retarded.
Yeah.
And from that wreck, because I did over $100,000 in damage between the trailer and the other guy's car. I ended up losing my job for it. And the guy was trying to sue us, but he ended up losing because it found out that he was at fault and I was not. So that helped me from personal liability lawsuit.
Helps you from the personal liability, but it doesn't help with the losing the job aspect.
Oh yeah, because
That was
I was
always
making damn good money, dude. I was bringing in with that job. I was making no less than $4,000 every 2 weeks. That's with regular check per diem. Because I was working 80 regular hours and I usually had over 100 overtime hours. So I was working my ass off, making damn good money.
yeah.
So yeah, that kind of stung hard.
I didn't do like any sort of like CDL driving or anything like that, but I did delivery driving for a auto parts store for close to 2 years, and like that was always one of my biggest fears was like something happening where like I get hit by another idiot or something like that, because I'm like, at the time I was broke college kid. I was like, if I lose this job, like I'm screwed.
Yeah.
But I mean, granted, we beat the ever living snot out of those vehicles. I mean, those I feel bad for those little Ford Rangers, but and I know a couple guys there that did lose their jobs from doing stupid shit when it was blizzard conditions out or something like that. Like we had one kid, because the store I worked at was the only shop they had that was a repair center. So anytime the vehicles broke down or needed repairs, they came to us, and it was out of like 23 different stores. And I remember that we got one day, and I walked out in the back to walk to one of the delivery trucks, and that's where they would keep like the line of vehicles that we had, waiting to get repaired or whatnot. And there was one Ford Ranger that like the cab was just like crushed in. Like the only spot that wasn't completely flat was where the driver's seat was. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what the hell happened? I'm like, did someone, like drop a forklift or like drop an engine? Like, what happened? Nope, he was just out doing donuts in like a parking lot in between runs and clipped something and just rolled the truck. I'm like, Jesus Christ. Like, some of these kids were just insane.
Yeah, I've known a few people like that too. I never really did any stupid shit like that. Granted, yes, I've done my fair share of stupid shit.
Oh yeah.
End up cruising down the highway, look down, and I'm doing fucking 120, not even realizing I'm doing it, or burnouts or mudding, but I didn't do like stupid shit that would eventually or could potentially cost me my life. I wasn't that stupid.
I tried not to. I mean, granted, like, I can't say I never did any sort of like racing or anything like that as a kid, because I know I did, but like it was never anything that was astronomical. It was more like that type of stuff where you'd just be cruising down the highway. And it's like before you knew it, you're like, oh, I'm going really fast. And like there's like I would have fun. Like when I had my '88 Buick, it was bench seats front, bench seats back. So especially during the winter time, like I'd load up a bunch of my friends, and that thing it rode like a boat. Like it just super comfy, velour seats. And so like we'd go like the abandoned Kmart parking lot where there's nothing there at like 11 o'clock at night, and I'd throw it in reverse and like cut the wheel and do like J turns and stuff like that. But it wasn't to the point where I was gonna hit anything or like I never tried to put anyone in danger. When I was doing stuff. Especially if I had friends and stuff in the car, like I never did stupid crap. Every now and then again, you'd go a little fast, but
Oh yeah.
there's some of the kids that, they take out these rental vehicles and stuff and just try to hoon the hell out of them. Like, why? Like, we're at work. Like, I get it, but, and granted, I mean, I do stupid shit where I'm like, oh, I'll neutral drop it because I just don't give a shit. Like, you'd be pissed off. It's 4:30. You're supposed to be getting off at 5 o'clock, and your boss is like, "Oh, go do this delivery." It's like, boss, I'm off at 5. Like, I got plans with my friends. I don't care. Go. It's 10 minutes off. Go do this delivery that I know is going to take you 30 minutes at least, because I want to send you to the warehouse, which is 20 minutes away, and then you're going to sit at the warehouse for 15 minutes, and then have to go do another delivery. Like, so you'd be getting there like, oh, let me just neutral drop this thing. I don't care. Like stupid shit like that we do, beat on the vehicles, but I never did it. Like I was never trying to race them or like do donuts in the road or like stupid shit.
One of the worst ticket I ever got was for me doing something stupid. I was in my Dodge 1500, the one that trainee crapped out on me going to a job interview. But I had my little brother who was probably 13 at the time, and we were going down to my grandma's about 4 hours away because they were moving and she was selling all her stuff and she was going to give me her washer and dryer because ours went out. And so I'm cruising down there and I'm on 35 in Brazos County, which is south of Waco. And all of a sudden this yellow Mustang comes up next to me and there's these two fucking hot, fine ass chicks in the car. So I'm keeping pace with them and I look down and I'm doing 90 and we're just, flirting and do all kinds of stupid shit and driving down the highway. Well, out of the corner of my eye, I saw a cop. When that cop came, it was a state trooper, flagged me down or pulled me over, and I didn't realize it, but I just went through a construction zone.
Oh shit.
So he popped me for he dropped it down so it wouldn't be too bad. He said I was doing 85 in a 55 construction zone. And he said there was workers present, which there wasn't, because I was just past it. So you can see in the rearview mirror, there's no one around because it's a flat stretch of road. So you can see behind you pretty good. And I also didn't have a current insurance card on me. I had valid insurance. I just didn't have a recent copy. So I got that ticket, the speeding ticket, the construction zone. Well, ended up being $1,000 fucking ticket.
Jesus.
Just for fucking pacing with two fine ass women.
Someone else.
So
yeah.
I ended up paying the $1,000 ticket. Well, they also, they do the points and everything. So I ended up having to pay surcharge fees because my license was suspended to get my license reinstated, which ended up being another $1,000 just to do that.
God
but
damn.
Luckily they had a program back then that I forget what it's called, but they helped you pay your surcharge fees on tickets. And I'm sweating bullets. I applied for it and got approved, and I'm sitting here thinking, man, I just spent $1,000 fucking on the ticket. Hopefully they'll help just a little bit to ease the pain. Believe it or not, man, that motherfucker covered everything but $60, and that's all I had to pay for that to get my license reinstated.
Holy shit! Wow.
So I got so lucky.
Not bad at all. Yeah, I've only got.
Man, that was fucking ridiculous. So it needs to say I didn't speed for probably 20 years after that.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I get nervous every time I go up to visit like my parents or my friends up north because I have to take the turnpike. and half the turnpike's always under construction. So like it goes from being a 70-mile-an-hour zone to a 55 and like that. And there's not a lot of spots for stadies to hide, but they always find a way, right?
Yeah, they do.
But like half the 90% of the time I've gone through those construction zones, it's super late at night or super early in the morning. There's no one there, but I'm still like, guarantee if I get popped here, they're gonna claim it's an active construction zone, even though there's no lights on, no one's around. Like I'm pretty sure this steamroller hasn't moved in 3 weeks.
Yep.
But and I get nervous because I have insurance right now, but I never got an updated insurance card because my insurance company basically told me like, oh yeah, we'll send it once you get your vehicle registered. Well, I can't get my vehicle registered until I have a valid Pennsylvania license. I have a good Arizona license, but I don't have a valid Pennsylvania license. I can't get my Pennsylvania license until I can get a stupid eye exam, which I can't seem to get anywhere because eye doctors just disappeared. I don't know where they all went, but none of them have availability or these places don't have eye doctors there. So I'm like, eventually I'll get it, but I get nervous because I have a heavy foot. Like I realize, especially like early mornings or like late. There's been a couple times I've driven home from up north at like 2, 3 in the morning because there's no one on the road. I'm like, I can just sit there, cruise at 80, 85, whatever, just get home within an hour and a half. Like, that's all I want to do. But I'm nervous because fingers crossed I don't get popped. But I've only ever got 2 tickets in my life. One was a speeding ticket, and the cop got me for literally 7 miles over. He popped me, and he's like, "Yep, you were hauling." I'm like, and it was myself and 2 of my friends in the car. I'm like, I was, and like I looked at them like, was I? And they're like, I don't think so. And I'm like, how fast was I going? He's like, you were doing 42 and a 35. I'm like, are we fucking serious? Like I was really confused. And he hit me, like he knocked it down to a failure to yield to a traffic control device. So it was like $110 fee or fine. But I was a broke college kid at the time. I'm like, I don't got $110. So thankfully the courthouse had a system where you could like do payment plans or something.
Yeah.
So I think I did it where it was like, I'll give you $20 a month for like the next, I don't know, 6 months or whatever. And then I got popped again, like might have been like a year later. And the cop, so I got popped. It was 2 in the morning, and I was on a main stretch in front of like our big mall back home. No one's on the road. My friends and I had gone to a concert a couple towns down, and so after the concert, we're like, man, we're starving. Let's go to Denny's. So we went to Denny's because it was the only restaurant open. We eat at Denny's. We leave there. It was like 2:30 in the morning, something like that. And we're traveling down the road. And I had my dad's car at the time. So it wasn't even my car. It was my dad's car. He had like, at the time, it was like a 05 Honda Accord, but it was like loaded out and everything. And so we had the music going. And one of my dad's super anal retentive, was always like, if you drive my car, don't touch anything, don't change the settings, blah, 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 blah. Which I get now that I get now that I'm older and everything, but at the time I'm like, yeah, whatever. But my friend that was in the passenger seat, he starts like fucking around with the infotainment center. And so I'm driving on this main street and it's just like light, block, light, block, light, block. I'm driving it. It was a green light when I looked up. I looked down, I'm like, fuck off, like stop fucking with shit. I'm like trying to set stuff back. And I look up and it's yellow as I'm traveling underneath it. I'm like, okay, I should be good. Pull up to the next light. Next light's a red. I look up and there's a set of headlights way down the road. I'm like, oh, nothing. Pull up to the next light. As I'm pulling up to the next light, those lights are now much closer to me, and there's cherries and berries on. And I'm like, fuck.
Oh, yes.
I'm like, are you fucking, like the only other car on the road? Are you serious? And so I instantly pull over, and he's like, step out of the vehicle. He's like, you ran that red light back there. I was like, officer, I honestly thought it was yellow when I was underneath it. My apologies. Like, I was fucking around with the radio, wasn't paying attention, but I was fairly certain it was yellow when I went underneath. He's like, nope, it was red. I was like, what the fuck ever. I think I was like 19 at the time. So I'm like, all right. He's like, I'm going to give you a field sobriety test. I'm like, are you serious? He's like, well, there's only 2 types of people out this time of night. And I'm like, guaranteed I'm not the drunk type because I just spent the whole night at a concert and I'm coming home from Denny's. I understand how that sounds, but whatever. It's like, I'll do your fucking field sobriety test. So I do it, like pass it, obviously. And he's like, well, I'm going to plead this down to a failure to yield to a traffic control device. He told me, he's like, if you just plead guilty, it's not going to be any points on your license, nothing like that. So I'm like, all right, whatever. Like, I don't feel like going to court over this. I'll pay the $110. I'll do the stupid payment plan again, whatever. So that's what I do. 3 years later, I get a letter from my insurance company that I have like 3 points on my license for that incident. I'm like, are you fucking serious? Really?
That's fucked up.
Yeah.
Damn. See,
It took
that's
forever to get
another
those
thing.
off.
I don't know about where you're at, but I know here in Texas, if you're sitting at a light and whether you're turning left or right, usually it's left because here you can turn right on red, and you can even turn left on red here if it's a one-way street. But I know if it's yellow and you cross that line and you're hanging over it like you're fixing to turn and it turns red, you can still turn because you obligated yourself. So I don't know, even if you're going through a red light or yellow light, once you cross that line and it's still yellow, you have to keep going because you done obligated yourself.
Yeah, I don't know what it is here. I know, like here, most places you can turn right on red, obviously, unless there's a sign. Same thing if it's a one-way left on red. I do know, I did find out recently, and I don't know how factual it is, but just hearing it from my buddy, like I used to always be the type of person like own the intersection. So like if I'm stuck at a left-hand turn and light's green because everyone fucking takes forever and they're turning really slow, and then like I'm stuck out in the like middle of the intersection, the light turns red, like I'm still going.
Yep.
I found out like I found out recently, like, yeah, you're not allowed to own intersections. Like if the light turns green or something like that, like in a situation like light turns green, you're still in the left hand lane, but like the other cars are coming. Like I'd always be the one I'd inch out to the middle because eventually that light's gonna turn again and then I can just go. Apparently that's illegal in Pennsylvania. I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. Like I've been doing that ever since I've lived here. So, but yeah, it's weird how like state by states go by different stuff. Arizona, I felt like you could get away with just a lot of crap. Like Arizona didn't care that much. Their biggest thing was like, don't drink and drive. Like that was their biggest thing. Although I only got pulled over of all the shenanigans I did in Arizona because I was with the Audi club, so we'd go out on drives all the time, and a lot of the times, as much as they say don't, like a lot of the times those drives you'd be hitting over 100 miles an hour on open stretches of highways. Like it's no one else is on the road outside you guys and stuff, but you'd get cruising pretty well, and like never got pulled over once for that. I got pulled over like 2 months before I moved back here. I'm coming home from my gym. It was a drive I had made hundreds of times. I had the stop sign, stopped, turned right onto the street, and cop pulls me over. He's like, you didn't come to a complete stop at that stop sign. I'm like, pretty sure I did. He's like, nope, I saw you. You looked both ways as you blew through it. I'm like, how did you see me look both ways? My windows are tinted.
Right.
But he's like, nope, I saw it. And so like he goes back, he runs my stuff. He's like, well, I'm just gonna let you off with a warning. I'm like, thanks, I guess. You have a great day. Like
Jesus, it's fucking ridiculous. I remember when we all went to the Tulsa meetup. Apparently, I guess right turn on red is against the law there. Because you know how red lights, they got the left turning arrow for when you are turning left. There they have the big ass fucking red lights because they got the left hand turn arrows and they also have right hand turn arrows. I thought I was going to get busted for making an illegal right turn because there was a cop a few cars back. But he never got me. I just thought it was weird. I've never seen that before. Now I know Ray would know more because that's where he lives or she lives.
Yeah, being from there, yeah.
But
I've and I know it does vary state by state, but I've always just been under the impression like right on red. Like that's just unless it says otherwise. Like every place I've ever lived has always been a right on red state. So I don't know. But,
Yeah, that can get you if you go to one you're not realizing it.
yeah. Oh yeah, and they'll be happy to do it too.
Oh fuck yeah.
But I remember the biggest pucker moment I ever had with a cop when it came to driving was we were on a Audi Club drive and we were cutting through the Superstition Mountain. So it's a lot of you're going up a big mountain, then coming down switchbacks down a mountain, and there's nothing out there. Like there's one little town, and then there's like small little. Best way to describe them is settlements. It's like little mining settlements where it's there used to be a mine there. The mine's dried up years ago, or it's in the process of drying up, and there's like 3 houses and like a side street. Like there's not even stop signs. It's just like, oh yeah, here's an intersection.
Yeah.
It might get 4 cars a year, and so we're cruising up and down. Like everyone else there pretty much has much more powerful cars than I have, and so they're ripping it. And we come off this one switchback, so I had kind of lost them in the switchbacks. Like I could see them; they were ahead of me, but I was back away. So we come down, and I'm like, okay, here's my chance to gain ground because I know I can gain ground here. And they're still doing like 100, 100, 105, something like that. But I'm doing like 125. So I'm coming up on them. And it was the section where it was straight, but it would come up this small hill and then down a hill and then up a small hill and then down a hill. And so we crest the first hill, no problem. Crest the second hill, no problem. Third hill, I'm coming up on them. I see them come up to the top, and I'm still doing like a $120, $125. I see brake lights, and I'm like, huh. I'm like, wonder why they're doing that. And I'm still catching up on them. So I come up this hill, and I'm probably doing at this point like 95. Like I've started to slow down because I'm like, I know something's up here. I just don't know what. And as I crest the hill, there's a state trooper right there, and it was like a 35 mile an hour zone. And I'm like, fuck. I'm like, this is it. But I think he was just like, I don't even care. Like, there's 30 of you. I'm not gonna pull over all 30. Because even if I was to ask for backup, it's probably like 45 minutes to an hour out. Like, he was just like, whatever. Just please don't kill anybody.
Damn, that would have been a horrible fucking ticket.
That would have been a bad one. And I dodged the bullet on a couple because there's a couple instances where people would go to like big car shows or big car meets and stuff like that. And, for one reason or another, I just wasn't able to make it or I wasn't going to go that far out or something. And like entire groups would get pulled over. Like I remember one of the drives they went on, like all 40 cars got pulled over and a couple of the guys got tickets. They ended up fighting them. I think most of them got out of them, but, I was like, yeah, I would have been pulled over in that one if I'd gone on that drive. Like they just pulled over the entire group no matter what. Another show I went to, or I shouldn't say I went to, I skipped down on was when COVID hit, people were still putting together like big car shows and stuff like that. And it was just one of those things where like you couldn't officially meet, but if everyone just happened to be in the same spot at the same time, you couldn't really do anything about it. So it was right in the early COVID, so like no one was on the highways. Like it was a wild time. Like you could do 120 miles an hour, 100. Yeah, you could do whatever you want on the highway, and they didn't care. And the one night they got a big event together. I think it was like 450 or 500 cars.
Damn.
And they all met at this big, huge shopping center, and then like they all left. So it was just basically like the entire highway was just cars. And a couple of my buddies got nabbed because they were, racing other people, like not racing, but just kind of like goofing around racing. But the cops were just like, nope, we're just gonna grab these certain people. And you could tell it was definitely targeted because there was a lot of people, from what I heard, and like clapped out Civics or like Hyundais or whatever, like exhaust cut off and stuff like that. Didn't even get touched, but then like all the guys in like the Porsches and stuff would get targeted, and like the people that they knew they could make money off of, right? Because like half the time you pull over, or you try to pull over the Civic, it's gonna run because chances are it's like not up to like there's no insurance on it, no registration, whatever, and they're like, we don't want to deal with that stuff. Plus there was there's a weird loophole in Scottsdale. So because part of and I heard this directly from a cop that worked up there, that would go to the car shows and stuff with us. Part of Scottsdale is reservation land. Like that's where they have the big casinos and stuff. So, and it's kind of fucked up how they would say this. The local Scottsdale PD, they would chase people to the highway. If the person hit the highway, that highway is reservation land. They can't do anything on that.
Nope.
So they would get people that would like, if they found like a DD or something like that, they're like, oh, please run, like just run to the highway because I don't want to have to deal with it. I can chase you to the highway, and then it's their problem. And I'm like, it's really fucked up. But and people would use that loophole though. But so it was interesting, like some of the times that would have like, because there's one car show that we would go to frequently before the pandemic that's right by the highway, and people would like, they'd do burnouts out of it, and you see local PD light them up, and they just instantly like run the block down to the exit, get on, and then like local PD, you'd see like they'd pull out, lights on, and then it's just like lights off. Like, oh, they didn't.
They got away.
Yeah, like, oh, they didn't stop. It's like, what the fuck?
So there, like that story you were saying that when you were doing 125 and you slowed down to 95, as y'all stayed where at a certain speed that's automatic lockup, like automatic straight to jail?
I think with Arizona there is, but they're pretty lenient, especially as long as you're not like endangering other people. Like I'm sure if you're doing like 125 through rush hour traffic, they're gonna hit you with the full book. But I know a couple of my buddies and stuff like that they had close to 1,000 horsepower cars and stuff like that, and they'd get pretty rowdy, and not to the point where like they're endangering people, but just where they'd romp on it or something like that, hitting an on ramp or an off ramp or what have you, and they'd get pulled over. And it's like clearly they are going, far exceeding the speed limit. But the cops would always just be like, "Listen, I'm going to put it at the max. That's not going to send you to like prison or like have your car impounded or something like that." Just because like they weren't endangering anybody. So
right. Well, that's cool.
I think it was like, I want to say it was 30 over if you're doing more than 30 over, but I could be wrong on that. But yeah, most of the time the cops out there, at least from what I saw, at least with dealing with interactions and stuff in the car community. Maybe it's just because of like my group was a little bit more refined. Like, yes, we would go fast, but we never really did in groups of people where, there's innocent people on the road. We're not weaving in and out of traffic. We're not doing burnouts and stuff in the middle of intersections. We're trying to be respectful of people. If we are going to do any racing or fast driving, it's going to be out in the middle of the desert where the only person we're going to hurt is ourselves.
Right. Yeah.
So they usually tend to step back on us a lot more compared to the more rowdy kids. They're trying to race in the middle of 4 p.m. traffic when like moms are bringing their kids home from soccer practice or whatever. Like those guys, they're going to jump on a lot more of that stuff. So
I wonder how much of that shit people got away with, whether, just balls to the walls, pedal to the metal, or burnouts or donuts or whatever. How many people got away with doing that shit during the lockdown?
Oh, tons. Like I remember, so it's funny in Phoenix, they actually, it was really poor allocation of funds. But it became such a big issue with like those stupid street takeovers and stuff, that they created a task force for it. And like the task force, I remember them posting up about it. It's like the task force will be out every Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And we're going to have the task force working cases throughout the week and like looking for this stuff. And they even they're like, we allocated an airplane, and the airplane, we've allocated $2,000 a day for the airplane. And I'm like, that doesn't seem like that much. Or maybe it was a helicopter. They said aircraft. And so I'm like, $2,000 a day. I'm thinking to myself, like, well, it's
It's not a lot.
aviation fuel. I'm like, there's aviation fuel. You figure if that aircraft's up for 8 hours, like that's a lot of fuel. That right there is probably close to that $2,000. Plus the maintenance on the aircraft, the pilot. I'm like, it's really not a lot. Like, what are you doing? Putting the plane up for like an hour?
Yeah, no shit. But yeah, I honestly miss the lockdown portion. Not for the, violating rights, lockdown, all that shit, can't go nowhere, do anything. But I just remember how quiet it was. Like a lot
Yeah.
of the factories and shit were shut down. The air started clearing up, being less polluted. You could breathe better. And I
You think?
remember reading a story where, the scientists that the like, I forget what are they called, where they study the earthquakes and shit. Seismologists or whatever they're called.
Yeah, something like that. Seismologist, or yeah, something like that.
They actually came out and said that during that time, they could actually hear the natural hum of the earth because everything was so quiet, and they were getting the best readings that they ever have before.
I believe it. I believe
But
it. It
it was
definitely
just-
was. I mean, I agree with you. Like the restrictions and stuff sucked. By the way, Roland, I was just reading your story there. That's a pucker moment right there. But yeah, it was interesting because I like the entire time during lockdown, I was still going out and about, like going for my daily walks. But it was nice being able to, like, granted, yes, it sucked not being able to go out and have nightlife or like visit my friends or like really do anything. Because I remember during lockdown, I came out here to visit one of my friends. I'm like, what are we gonna do? And she's like, I have no idea. Like, we can go to the park or like the natural, like the national park. And so we did that, but it was like outside of that, like you couldn't really do much. So from that standpoint, it sucked. But at the same time,
yeah.
it's like I could go to Walmart and like
Nobody
people
was there.
left you alone. Yeah, like, and if they were there, they got out of your way. It was great.
Yeah.
Now, granted, that is the one time during lockdown that in the last close to, I'd say 6 years or so, that I almost had to shoot somebody because somebody decided to be a mask Nazi and be a hero. But outside of that, like, yeah, like you would drive someplace. I'm like, I don't have to worry about rush hour. There is no rush hour. Like I can just go do whatever I want. Like the air just felt cleaner. Like you could see outside. Like, yeah, it was nice from that standpoint for sure.
That, and you hardly sat at a fucking red light,
Yeah.
As long as you were doing the normal speed limit, it didn't fuck with the light. And you could cruise, and there was no one around. It was quiet and peaceful.
Yeah.
And here, my local Walmart had just started that fucking, you must show a receipt before you can leave, or we're going to detain you because you're stealing.
Yeah.
And I mean, they were doing that hard and heavy, and they just put in these. They look like metal detectors, honestly. You walk up to it and the gate would automatically open and let you through, but if you went back through it, it would alarm.
Yep.
And when the lockdown happened, yeah, they didn't want to come nowhere near you. So you could literally walk out with a buggy full of shit that you didn't pay for, and they were going to fuck.
Yeah. They have those here, which threw me for a loop because where I was in Arizona, they didn't have them at all. And then I moved out here. I went to the local Walmart for the first time. I'm like, what the fuck are these things? I'm like, and like as I'm walking up, I'm like, is it gonna open? Like at the last minute, it opens. I'm like, that's weird. And then someone walked out the wrong way. It started going off. I'm like, okay. And then like by this point, I'm there so often because it's one of my places I usually walk down to every day. If I'm gonna take a daily walk, like I'll just find a reason to walk to Walmart and walk around and then come back home. But it used to be like when I would first go there, yeah, it's like no matter what, whether it was in a bag or not, like they checked your receipt. Now I'm at the point, unless it's not in a bag, they don't even care. They're just like, no, you're probably good. Like, doubt you're stealing.
How much do you think it costs for them to put in those swinging arm doors, metal detectors, whatever the fuck you want to call them? I don't know what they're actually called.
Yeah,
But how
I
do you think
mean,
it would cost them to put that in?
it's gotta be. I mean, I would have to assume just the units alone are a couple grand a piece.
Hmm.
And when I say a couple grand, I would not be surprised if they weren't like 5 to 7 grand a piece. Um, and then you gotta pay someone to install them because they gotta dig up the ground, put it in. That I'd easily say that's like 10 to 20 grand a piece.
Yeah, because they did it on both ends of my Walmart right before the pandemic and the lockdowns and everything, and then uh, after they opened up the stores more to where there was not really any regulation or how many people could be in it, basically like it was before the pandemic. It wasn't like a month or so after that happened, Walmart took those out. And I'm thinking, y'all just wasted a fuck ton of money just having those in during the pandemic just to take them right back out. What the fuck was
Yeah,
even the point?
they don't care. They don't care. Um, Fish ones, we're curious to see where you moved to in AZ, but from Pennsylvania, I'm from the Scranton area, just outside Scranton originally.
Right?
Scranton. I,
Hardcore,
I used,
hardcore.
yeah, parkour, get that parkour. I used to mention it all the time, like when I would mention it to people back in Arizona, they'd be like, "Oh, like The Office." I'm like, "Yeah, it's pretty much like that and corruption are the only two things we're known for." And then stupid when fucking idiot got into office, they're like, "Oh, you mean we're Joe Biden's?" I'm like, "He's not from here. He lived there for like 6 months. He doesn't count." Like,
Yeah.
I could tell people like, "I'm from Connecticut." Just because I was born there, I was only lived there for like 2 years of my life, and then I moved out. Like, okay, yeah, I know where Honesdale is. Very familiar. Yep, very familiar. I had a friend that used to live in Honesdale. God, shit. I used to drive up to visit her all the goddamn time from because originally, so I say from Scranton just because that's where people know, but technically it's more like Wilkes-Barre area. And then I moved to Scranton after college. So I about 50-50 split my time in Pennsylvania between Scranton and just outside Wilkes-Barre. But when I was in Wilkes-Barre, actually technically Dallas area, I drive up to her place to Honesdale all the time. That was a freaking hike. But then we'd go to remember there was like some sort of state, I don't know if it was a state fair or what it was up in Honesdale. I miss those. I can't like that is one of the big parts of me being back here now in the summertime is all the little township like fairs and festivals and stuff because
Yeah.
Arizona has fairs and festivals, but it's weird shit. Like Arizona will have, oh, this weekend in Philly is the tacos and cannoli festival. It's like that doesn't fucking make sense, and that's $20 to get into the damn thing, and then if you want to drink, it's $10, and it's like, oh, here's a meatball that's $8, and it's like, oh Jesus Christ. Where back here at home, I want to go to like the local town fair or whatever, a little like the Pittston Fair Festival or the Hartford Fair or something like that. It's like, okay, $10 to get in, and then you're just doing whatever, and like most of the stuff's free to watch if you want to watch like truck pulls or whatever, and then obviously like food and games and stuff. But um, oh, Reading, yeah, Reading is a shithole. Um,
Yeah, I miss those little fairs and shit too. Where I
it,
grew up in Texas, this little town called Hempstead down by Houston. And we were actually known for watermelon. So we had a watermelon festival. We were actually
nice.
the watermelon capital of the U.S. for many, many, many years.
I just like I miss that type of stuff, and I do kick myself because Arizona had the state fair right there in Phoenix that I never went to. I went to the fairgrounds a couple times for like gun shows and stuff, but the state fair I never went. And I kind of chalk part of that up to my circle of friends that I had out there was all usually older people in like the card clubs and stuff. They didn't want to go to the state fairs. Um, and even when I started working with people again, like in the Phoenix area, they would want to go to the state fairs, but I lived out in a little town called Queen Creek, which is the southeastmost part. Like it's a good hour drive into Phoenix, on like a good day. So it's like, okay, like, do I want to drive an hour into Phoenix to go to the state fair, sweat my ass off all day, and then drive an hour? It's like, no, not really. Like, now granted, now that I'm back home, I'm driving 2 hours north up to Scranton to go to, state festival, but I have friends and family up there. I'm like, I can crash at a place or something if I want to. I don't have to drive
Yeah.
2 hours back home to Philly. And even then, like, there's other stuff like down here, like we have the different state fairs and stuff like that, and Hershey and everything, like relatively close to where I'm at if I ever want to go. But Tucson's nice. It's where I had been in Tucson, because I think, yeah, G's in Tucson. I've only really ever like traveled through Tucson to go to Tombstone. But from what I saw, it was nice. It's definitely, I mean, it's obviously not as big as Phoenix and stuff like that. Not as much to do, but at least you guys are slightly cooler down there. But Tucson's not a bad little town. It's just like there's nothing like once you get out. I mean, Phoenix is the same way. Once you get out of Phoenix, like there's really nothing for the most part. Or I should say the Phoenix Valley. But
Yeah, I would like to go visit Tombstone, Arizona.
it's fun. Like anytime I had friends come into town, we always would go, and I'm like, it's something to go to once. Like I've been down to Tombstone, I think 4 times now. And after the first time, I'm like, yeah, all the other times kind of like blended together. But the reason I went down was because I would bring friends as they came into town and stuff. I was like, yeah, let's go do Tombstone. It's cool to watch the show they put on and like visit the same restaurant, like Big Nose Kate's restaurant, because that's
You
Doc
didn't feed them
Holliday's
elk balls,
girlfriend.
did you?
What?
I said you didn't feed them elk balls, did you?
No, fuck no. No. God, no. No, like, the thing that sucks about Tombstone is, like, you walk down the main path and it's, Old West style town. Granted, you can tell a lot of it's very touristy, but you're like, oh, like looking at it from the outside, you're like, oh, there's a bunch of little shops here. Like, I want to go into each one of these little shops. But then you go into each one of them and like they're all one flavor of the same. Like they all basically sell the same shit. It's like, oh, here's a gift shop that's just named different from that gift shop that's selling the same shot glasses, the same shirts, the same postcards. And like the only difference is the Harley Davidson shop. Like that's really it. And then there's like, oh, well, here's this mine tour that you can go on for $20 a person. I'm like, no, I'm good. Like, we only need to do that. Or like, oh, here's a ghost tour you can go on for $35. I'm like, I'm good.
Yeah.
Like, don't really
I
want
just
to do
would
that.
like to go visit and say I've been there and to see everything, because ever since I was probably in junior high, I've always been a big fan of Wyatt Earp and Doc Holliday and all that,
Yeah.
So
Oh, it's a blast, especially if you get to go. Like I had one of my buddies come in. It was January of 2019. And so I took like the week off, and we went down on like a Tuesday or something like that. And or no, it was a Thursday. It was a Thursday we went down, and there was no one, so it was great because we got good parking. We went into the town, like the town square or whatever you'd call it. We saw the gunfight show, all that stuff. We did all that package. And then we
that's
were
cool.
to eat at Big Nose Kate's, which is Doc Holliday's girlfriend's restaurant that's still there. But we were able to get right in. Like there was no wait. Like we got in, we got a table, got our food. Like it was awesome. And then we were able to leave all pretty quickly, and we didn't have to like sit around and wait in line for everything. But yeah, Roland, Scottsdale is surprisingly green for what it is. I love Scottsdale. Like that's where my technically my company is in Paradise Valley, but Scottsdale's where all the nightlife is. Like I wish I was because I moved to Arizona in my late 20s. I was kind of going through like a different change in my life. I wish I had been in Arizona in my early 20s. Like that would have been a blast, especially downtown Scottsdale with Tempe there and everything. Like that would have been great. But so there's a lot of fun to be had there. It's a beautiful town. It's definitely like it's weird because a lot of transplants are there, which they keep planting shit, which brings allergies back. Like, stop fucking like it's a desert. Nothing's supposed to live here. Stop planting shit. Making my allergies kick up. But
How old are you, Angry?
I am now 33.
Okay.
33, yeah.
Oh, I thought you were younger than that.
No.
But yeah,
Oh,
the other day when we were moving into my new house, I met a fucking fetus. Oh my god, I wanted to smack some knowledge into his eyes. I have this commemorative knife that looks like a little 6-shooter, but it folds out to a knife, and it's
okay.
a wide or commemorative knife. And he's carrying it to pack, and he's like, "Who is this?" I'm like, "Are you fucking kidding me? You don't know who Wyatt Earp is? You ever
God.
heard of Doc Holliday? No.
No.
Well, get the fuck out of my house.
Yeah.
This fucking fetus."
Yeah. There's been a couple times where, especially when I was in the office back at Phoenix, I'd be working with people and I'm like, I forget that you all are all, because my team, it's either people that are considerably older than me, like in their, I shouldn't say considerably, but like, early 40s into like 50s, or it's people that are like 21 to like 26. Like there's no in between those gaps. So I like some of the guys I'd be working with, I'd be sitting there drinking with them and I'm talking about stuff and they're just looking at me with blank faces. I'm like, yeah, don't you remember this? Like, I forget what we were talking. I think I was talking about like 90s Nickelodeon and they're just looking at me like I got, 3 heads. And I'm like, nothing at all. And they're like, dude, I was 3 in 99. I'm like, how the fuck, why? And like, they just don't get stuff. Oh, what did I see here?
Yeah, no, it's sad. It's like, what the fuck are y'all being taught these days?
Oh yeah, I mean, I admit, because especially like with my ex, like she was, well, I shouldn't say she was, she's still alive. She's 3 or 4 years older than me, so she's in my age range, and we got a lot of the same references and stuff. But I would say stuff, and she's like, "Why were you watching that at your age?" I'm like, "Dude, I was 5 and watching Arnold Schwarzenegger movies. Like you weren't." And then I look at her like she's crazy. She's like, "No, no, I didn't see an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie till I was in my teenage years." I'm like, what is wrong with you? Like, it's just weird. So I'm like, I remember I was talking to her about Tombstone. I'm like, you didn't watch Tombstone as a kid? She's like, no, why would I? I'm like, I don't know. I just thought
Badass
everybody
movie.
watched. I'm like, I just thought everyone did that.
Right?
What was I seeing here? Fish ones. Yeah. If you move up to Gilbert's super nice, and it's at least right now. You're not paying Chandler money or Tempe money. So it's a nice place to live. I love Gilbert, and it's well located there in the East Valley, so you're close enough to stuff that you can go have fun, but you're far enough away you don't got to deal with crap. But oh, and you lived in Carbondale also. I had a friend that lived in Carbondale. That's a fucking meth hole. Actually, I shouldn't say that. Like one of my good friends, his wife is from Carbondale, but I'm pretty sure she's the exception. Pretty sure everyone else that lives in Carbondale does drugs. That's the only way you can pass living in that town.
Oh yeah, that's kind of like where I'm from, Hempstead. You had a few choices. You could either be an alcoholic, a drug addict, dead, or in jail. Those are really your only choices. If you were the lucky ones, you could get out.
So I had a buddy of mine he ended up being a cop in Carbondale for a little bit, and so he had to move there because he also fucking fell in love with a fetus, who like, yeah, she had great life decisions. But I went to visit him a couple times, and Carbondale is sketchy for sure. Although they do have a really good dive bar that, like, as soon as you get off the highway, I'm blanking on the name of it. But I've been there a couple times. They have pretty good food and stuff. But I remember the one time because he had a kid and everything like that, and then she had a kid through one of her previous relationships. He hits me up. He's like, "Hey man, what are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm not doing anything this weekend." He's like, "Oh, we're going up to the lake." I'm like, "What lake?" He mentioned it to me, and I'm like, "Where the fuck is that?" He's like, "Oh, in Carbondale." So I'm like, "All right." I'm like, "Fine. It's summertime. I love going to a lake in the summer. Yeah, I'm down. Sure, whatever." So I go up there, and I'm pretty sure these people were using this lake as like their biannual bath. Like the water was so dirty. I'm like, I'm not going in that. Like that is nasty looking. And like people are coming out, and like you can see dirt just coming off. I'm like, that's just like, I was disgusted by it. I'm like, I'm not going in that water. Crystal, yes, yes, Crystal Lake, yes, that is it. Yeah, wasn't crystal clear. It was a complete dump, and like, oh man, it was bad. I was like, I'm just gonna go over here and cook some food, and like, I'll watch you guys, and like, if someone's drowning, that's about the only way I'm going into that water. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? It was, oh god, it was a cesspool. But it's the only time I ever went up there. I was like, dude, don't ever ask me to come. Like, if we're going to a lake again, like, I'm going to someplace else. Like, I'll go up to the Poconos, or like I'll hit Harvey's Lake or something. Like, I'm not doing this stuff. But
All right, brother. Well,
yeah.
I got to take off. I got food fixing to show up, and
Yeah, I'm
for a
probably
little
gonna
bit.
cut this short in about 5-10 minutes or so, anyways. But I appreciate you joining in, man. Thank you.
Oh, no problem, brother. Anytime.
Talk to you later.
Appreciate the link.
Absolutely.
All right, later, man.
Deuces. But yeah, man, I could go off on adventures and stuff of being here in Pennsylvania. And it's funny that you went, you know, I go from Pennsylvania, Arizona, and then back, and then you come to Arizona. I'll be honest, like moving to Arizona was one of the best moves I ever made. There's obviously aspects of leaving here that I missed, and I wish I had not left for, but in the long run, I'm really happy I moved out to Arizona and I had my time out there. And now I'm just happy to be back. Last time when I saw a turd. Yeah, it's one of the things you run into with especially like high population lakes. You know, I've been to a couple lakes around here that there's not a ton of people. At least when I've gone, there haven't been a ton of people on the lake, and that's my favorite time. Is just kind of when like you and your buddies have a lake to yourself, or you were a small group of people, but when it's everyone piled in, it's a pain in the ass. Arizona, I didn't ever get to, like, I used to live with Heavy, if anyone knows Heavy from the chats back in the day. And he and his buddies, they'd go up to Lake Havasu all the time up in northern Arizona. I never went up, mainly because like I didn't want to bring my dog around a bunch of different people and stuff like that. Plus, two, it was getting time off work. At the time, I had a job that I actually had to apply for PTO time, and sucked. But I went up to the Salt River a couple times, and if you're ever in the Phoenix area and you're just like, oh, I want to escape the heat, Salt River, a lot of fun. Like, just you rent a tube, you tube the salt, especially if you get a couple of buddies and stuff. You grab one of those like inflatable coolers, fill it up with some drinks, just cruise down. The wild horses will come and like drink out of the river and everything, and then they have the lake up there as well. I never went up to the lake part. I would only just cruise the river, even though that would get busy. Like it was never to the point where you felt disgusting. Maybe it's because it was flowing water. I don't know, but yeah, I enjoy a good lake. Enjoy a good lake trip. But well, I've been running this actually for a lot longer than I thought I was going to. Usually I only run these for about an hour or so, but kind of got off on some tangents there. But anybody have any questions or things they want to talk about or anything like that before we shut it down for the evening? I appreciate everyone showing up. Thank you, by the way. Hopefully we'll have more of these down the line. So we will see. But let's see here. Let's see. I want to make sure nothing came off across on Discord. Nope, Discord's good. Please do more of these early shows. I will definitely do my best. I think I agree with you, especially with it being us East Coast people. You know, the 7 o'clock seems to work well. It's not that I have an issue with Matt's chats, but I do agree. Like the 9 o'clocks just kill me. By that time, I'm already half asleep half the time, and I'd love to stay up for the 2-3 hours that he runs the chat. If I got work the next day, I can't, man. So yeah, I will this time works good for people. You know, I'll probably move them back to Tuesdays, unless people want me to keep them on Thursdays. But yeah, happy to do some more of these chats. And then again, like if anyone ever wants the links or to join in on chats or whatever, just let me know. Happy to send them out. And yeah. But anyways, guys, I think we're gonna call it. I appreciate everyone showing up. If you have any topics for future chats or anything, drop them down below. And yeah, that's all I got for you. Have a good one, y'all. Deuces.